Prime Video, and it's a film called Robots. There's many films called Robots. This is not the animated film with Ewan McGregor voicing a robot. This is actually, it's a film that it kicks off, and at the beginning of the film, it talks about how, it kicks off with a scene where you have this governor of New Mexico, and he's standing in front of a wall, and he's like, yeah, finally we've done it. We've built a wall to keep the Mexicans out. And we've taken all the Mexicans and we've thrown them back into Mexico. So we've gotten rid of all those illegal immigrants who are in this country. But people are like, well, what are we going to do about the jobs? It's like, don't worry, the Tesla company has built us all these robots that are going to take over all the jobs that we can do. So you have like all these robots who come in and like they clear up all the chairs and they clean up the floors and they take people's kids to school and all that kind of stuff. And then you meet Jack Whitehall. You meet Jack Whitehall's character, and it essentially transpires that this character is a spoiled son of this really, really rich man who, and what he's done is that he's gone and he's gotten himself an exact robot double that goes around and does all of his work while he sits at home and plays video games. Although this is illegal. It's illegal to have an exact robot double that looks like a human being that you can. Robots are supposed to look a certain way so that, you can say that, oh, that's a robot, that's a human. Robot. Yeah. So he's got an exact robot double. And one of the things that he does with the exact robot double is that he sends him out to go meet women. And the robot goes out there and is the perfect gentleman. Yeah. And everything like that until the women are like, oh, do you want to come back to mine, Charles? Do you want to come back to my house? And the robot will be like, not tonight, tomorrow night. And then, so he goes back home and he says, Charles, I've done it. She's ready for you. And,
wow.
and then Jack
I'd like a robot like that.
And then Jack Whitehall goes in there and essentially goes and has... Now, the film does not try and say this behavior is okay, because I know a lot of people are going to have issues with this because it is not ethical, it is not moral or anything, but this is what the character does. This is what he does. He essentially uses his robot to dupe women into having sex with him. And then one day he goes out himself and goes ice skating, because he goes to the ice skating rink to meet women, because that's where all the that's where like single women are. So essentially he goes to the ice cream to pray, and then he runs into Shailene Woodley's character, and then he starts doing his whole thing and sending the robot to go on the dates with her and everything, and she's like, oh, look at that, that's a lovely bag. He's like, don't worry, you shall have the bag, and he spends all this money on her until she finally says, yes, I would like you to come over to my place, but come over tomorrow night and all that. Then she goes back home, and then it turns out that she also has a robot double. Right. She also has an illegal robot double, and her thing is that, so he sends the robot double to go on the dates, and then when the women want to have sex with him, he steps in and he has sex with the women. She goes on the dates herself, and she gets all this stuff from the men, and then when the men want to have sex with her, she sends the robot.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And I think that there's something a little bit clever in the fact that the different ways that like a man would use this and the woman would use that and everything, and I actually quite like some of the stuff that they did there. But essentially, so through the whole machination, something happens. The robots meet each other. The robots fall in love, and the robots decide we're going to run off to Mexico, because in Mexico there is no law against robots, right, and robots can live life free. So it becomes this chase where Jack Whitehall and Shailene Woodley's characters, so Charles and Elaine, meet up, and they're trying to stop their robots from running away and doing all this sort of stuff, because if it gets found out that they had this illegal robot doubles, they're going to jail for a long time. So, and that is essentially the film. Then it becomes this sort of like comedy / heist / chase / road movie of trying to figure out, okay, what do we do? How do we get this? All that kind of stuff. And almost a battle of wills between their robot doubles and themselves. That is the film. And I think from what I've just told you, you should know exactly how this film is going. You should know what's going to happen. You should know what's going to... I think it has a little bit of satire at the beginning of the film when he's talking about like a workforce. There's one character who shows up who's obviously a Trump supporter, and he complains. He says, yeah, I voted to kick all those Mexicans out of the country, and then you robots came and took all of our jobs.
Oh, so yeah. There's always got to be one of those.
Yeah, exactly. So he's essentially complaining about the fact that the immigrants were there. Now he's complaining that the robots are there because they took all the jobs that the immigrants had. And it has a little bit of attempt at satire, but quite frankly, it goes for like slapstick screwball comedy and all that. It's all right. It's a 3 out of 5. It's a 3 out of 5, which is exactly when I saw the trailer is what I expected it to be. It turned out to be a 3 out of 5. It's distracting enough while you're there trying to sort of like burp your baby. It's distracting enough to have on in the background. The performances, Jack Whitehall is being Jack Whitehall because that's all he really does play. He only ever plays himself, and I think as Shailene Woodley, this is the kind of film that you're like, yeah, I can see that she isn't quite the hottest thing in Hollywood anymore. That's why she ended up in this film. But they're okay. They're okay. They're serviceable. They're funny. Paul Rust shows up as well, and Shailene Woodley plays more than 2 characters in this film. And one of the one of the appearances that she has in this film, some people will find it funny, some people will not find it funny, but it's all right. But it's a 3 out of 5. It's nothing much to write home about, but it's distracting enough, and that's Robots on Prime Video.
Right. Okay.